Hello and welcome back to Radiant Dawn 0% Growth. This is Chapter 4.3, the second of the Silver Army chapters. Last chapter, Tibarn was the MVP, of course. Starting to get very predictable, or I guess it has been for a while, I should say, with the MVP stuff. I don't know if that'll change at some point. In any case, this chapter, not too much of note going on in here, unlike the last couple chapters. Soth did promote between last chapter and this chapter, but it really doesn't matter for a couple of reasons. One is that he's not going to be seeing any combat in this chapter because he's going to be busy finding hidden items and has poor mobility in the desert to boot. And two is because his stats are poor enough at this point in the game that the extra, 2 points of stats that he gets from, in strength and speed and defense and such from his promotion don't, or maybe it's 3 defense, but whatever. The point is it doesn't really change what he's capable of doing, which is not much. He could do chip damage before, he can do chip damage now. He can get doubled by lots of enemies before, he can get doubled by lots of enemies now. It's, he can get 2-hit KO'd before, he can get 2-hit KO'd now, so it's pretty irrelevant. Other than that, I do have silver weapons from forging last chapter. So Har gets the silver axe and Sigrun gets the silver lance. And then in terms of skill stuff, the big important thing is that we got resolve on Scrimmer as mentioned. So this is the resolve that basically we took off of Torineo because we also still got resolve on Har. Scrimmer's also got pass and still has Paragon. And then Nasala gets the adept that we took off of Shinon. I have confirmed that he gets that extra 35 capacity when he hits level 30, but unfortunately we're not there yet, which means he doesn't get to use pass, which I would otherwise. Although Vantage does give him some extra durability, especially in conjunction with Adept, so it's not all bad. But it is still somewhat annoying that he can't use Pass for this chapter. But yeah, that's pretty much it for skill stuff. The only other thing is that Lathe has Wild Heart so that we can do some shoving. So, here we are on Chapter 4.3, another route map, this time in the desert, which does mean that most of the enemies have very poor mobility. Most of our characters actually have pretty good mobility because I planned around that, of course. But yeah, in terms of the enemies, these 3 don't move, these 3 don't move, this guy doesn't move, and this guy doesn't move, and that's it. But then the only enemies that have more than 2 squares of mobility are these wyverns who are scattered around the kind of edges of the map, and then there's a couple of sages, this guy, and all the other enemies have only 2 squares of movement. So even though most of the enemies will move, and some of them will even move towards you without you getting in their range, it still takes a while to get into the range of a lot of the enemies to actually even be able to enemy phase them, assuming that you can enemy phase them, which is hard to do in any case. The upside of that is that our enemy phase durability, even with our best units, is not super reliable, so we can only fight so many enemies at once, realistically anyway. So that in that sense, it's a good thing. We can control how many enemies we're fighting at once. On the flip side, it also means that it takes longer to deal with all the enemies, because we can't really do the kind of thing that Tibarn did last chapter, where he's pulling in enemies from pretty far away in multiple directions. And actually, that reminds me, I had something I had wanted to correct that I said last chapter. I mentioned Tibarn having more avoid than Nasala, and I said I thought that was due to having more luck. And it is a little bit. The speed, and between the speed and luck components of avoid combined, Tibarn gets 5 more avoid than Nasala. But the real difference is that the Hawk army has authority stars. I forget whether they're actually coming from Tibarn or Alencia, but I think it's from Tibarn. But in either case, I think they have 3 authority stars. I think, that's to say, I think both Tibarn and Alencia have 3. Maybe maybe one of them has 2, maybe one of them has 4. I don't remember exactly, but certainly Micaiah has none. So, good job, Micaiah. The consequence of that is that, you know, where Tibarn is facing hit rates in the 20s and 30s, Nisala is facing hit rates in the 40s and 50s, and of course, also has less defense and less HP, and the 5 less base avoid than Tibarn. So, yeah, he's definitely not invincible in this chapter. I mean, I said that last time, but it's much more true in this chapter, I would say, that he's not invincible. And then that's not even getting into Scrimmer, who is going to have to, you know, basically fight the entire chapter at half HP so that he can be in resolve range. Anyway, in terms of who we're bringing, Micaiah, Soth, Soniki, Sigrun, and Scrimmer are all required, plus Nisala, Leanne, Tanith, Har, Neolucci, Marcia, Jill, Riss, Kiza, and Laith. Oh, a couple other things I should point out before we start. Just some long-range stuff. There's a guy with a Purge Tome here. There's the L Sleep and L Silence are both, will both cover basically the entire map. The L Sleep in particular will always target Har. Like, as far as I can tell, there's nothing I can do to change that. Like, maybe if he used a Pure Water, that would change it, but, like, Provoke doesn't change it, Shade doesn't change it. Even though there are units with lower res than him, although I think it might literally just be Kiza who has lower res. Actually, Neolucci has lower res. Yeah, Kiza has lower res. But yeah, he really... Oh, well, Micaiah has lower res, but she gets silenced. I don't know if... Whatever. They really want to target Har for whatever reason. And then Numida over here has a Purge as well, and this guy has a Physic Staff. There's only one Physic user in this chapter, which is nice, I guess. Alright, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is Scrimmer is going to come down and use our final Laguz Stone to transform, not anticipating needing them for 4-5. So use it here and we're going to have Laguz Gems going into the tower, so we don't need it for that. And then Micaiah is going to shove Soth and get rescued by Marcia. So there are hidden items. I'll talk about those as we get along, but one of the hidden items in the map is Stefan, who Micaiah can recruit by stepping on this square. And we're going to try to get her over there pretty aggressively so that we can do that as quickly as possible. But that does mean that Marcia has to move forward pretty aggressively, which means moving into the range of this group of halberdiers here, as well as the Purge Bishop here. The Purge Bishop will target her, but she'll actually survive. But we've got to take this guy out in order to protect her. And that has a pretty big role to play in how I end up configuring some of my units for this turn. In any case, next up we're going to shove Leanne forward. And that's going to make space for us to shove Nisala once and twice. And have him come over here and take out this guy with a short spear, who he can't enemy phase, of course. And now he's going to be set up to enemy phase those 2 warriors, as well as the 3 wyverns that are on the edges of the screen right now. At least once he cantos to this spot. And, yep, got all that capacity now. While Nisala does 2-hit KO these warriors, he does not 2-hit KO the 3 wyverns. And it's very important that those wyverns die. We can potentially deal with one of them living, but if 2 of them live, this just doesn't work. So that's why it's so important that he had that adept. Or at least it's one reason. So now we're going to start working on the group of enemies over here, starting with having Har come down and hit this guy. We want to kill the guy on top more so than this guy, but Har needs to attack with the Silver Axe Forge in order to get that guy to die efficiently. So we're going to chant for Har and Scrimmer with Leanne, and then we're going to have Riss come up and shove her over to the right. which is going to set her up for her chant next turn. And this is the edge of the Purge Bishop's range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Which is pretty relevant. Next up, Soniki is going to set up that this Halberdier, the one that's threatening Marcia to die, for Har. Well, guess that might not have been necessary, but obviously we didn't know that was going to happen. And next up, we're going to have Tanith come down and chip this guy. And that guy would die in enemy phase to Har or to Scrimmer, who's going to come down there. But we want Tanith specifically in this spot to position her to go kill this guy next turn. And so we need to get the extra damage on him so that he dies to Tanith on enemy phase as well. And then, so Sigrun is going to come deal with these 3 enemies for a couple of reasons. One reason is that her starting position makes that pretty convenient without needing to chant for her. Another reason is that this guy here has 29 speed, which means he doubles anybody with less than 26, which includes both Tanith and Har. As well, the enemies, these enemies, even if they didn't double Tanith, they would kill her if they all hit her. Whereas Sigrun survives with 1 HP if they all hit her. Actually, I think this one would this guy would also double Har. I mean, granted, Har would get into resolve range at some point, but we need Har over on further to the right anyway. And we don't have. The other reason is we don't have time to put one of Scrimmer or Nasala over here. So we're going to do that, put Sigrun over here, but the problem is that Sigrun does not 2-hit KO this guy, and we need to get these enemies dead quickly enough that becomes a problem. Unfortunately, if Tanith were in support range of Sigrun, then she would 2-hit KO that guy. But unfortunately, even though I could put Sigrun here, and then all the enemies could reach her, and then I could put Tanith here or here and get her into support range. But the problem is if I put Sigrun here, their attack order is such that they won't all... Actually, they can't even... these two just can't both reach her. One of them will block the other one. That's not really about the attack order. Anyway, the point is, so we have to go here, not be in support range. And that means we're going to take the risk of attacking this guy and basically gambling that one of the 4 attacks is going to miss. The Swordmaster's attack at you can see the 72 here, at about that rate with the other one, and then the Warrior is a 40, something like that. The other Swordmaster, she does 2-hit KO, so that part of it is fine. Anyway. Alright, so that was a lot of... Well, good job, Sigrun. That was a lot of explanation for something that ended up not being relevant because she just killed the guy and thus avoided both of his attacks. I'll certainly take that. Anyway, next up, Scrimmer is going to come down and hit this guy. And he does get hit, which is good. So, the situation with Scrimmer is that we want to get him into resolve range ASAP, and it turns out that this guy does exactly 30 damage to him, which right now is exactly enough damage to put him into resolve range. The reason we want to attack this guy rather than finish this guy off is this guy actually doesn't do enough damage to... Well, he wouldn't take the damage anyway, because he would kill him. But we want to... I have discovered that, for whatever reason, if I attack and kill this guy, not only does that increase the risk that even with the 30 damage that Scrimmer doesn't get into resolve range, because these guys can miss, and if they do, then he doesn't end up in resolve range, but also it changes the enemy attack order, and sometimes this guy won't attack before these two, and thus if they're at full health, they won't die on enemy phase. But with this particular configuration, they do attack in the right order to die in enemy phase, so I'm not really sure why, but it works out. And I guess all we've got left is Soth is going to head over this way. He's going towards the Dragon Foe, which is right here. And then Jill is going to come over and prepare to rescue him after he picks that up next turn. And is just outside of range of the Purge Bishop, who would kill her if he could attack her. Instead, he's going to attack Marcia, who's going to tank it like a champ. Oh, and another thing that's worth noting is that, like, this clear is just hosed if that Sage misses Scrimmer, which I think is not terribly likely, but I've certainly seen it happen. I think his hit rate is like high 70s or maybe 80, low 80s. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in this clear that is just like not fully or even particularly reliable. Including, apparently, Sigrun not dodging that warrior. Good thing that she stunned the guy, because if she hadn't, she probably was going to die there. Alright, so now we get to find out... okay, now we get to find out whether Nisala is going to actually kill these wyverns. She really need him to. That's one. Took some damage, but that's 2. 3. Yes, let's go, Nisala! Alright, alright. Sleepy time for Har. I guess, in fairness, Har does really like to sleep, and so it makes a certain sort of sense that they would help him out with that. Yeah, the Silent Staff doesn't matter. Risk just clears it off here. Because you got the Restore equipped. Okay, so the situation is that all of the Wyverns did die, which is great. And meanwhile, Sigrun's ready to take this guy out, but will die if she gets hit by this guy again. She's actually got a 43, which I feel like is a little higher than normal, maybe. I thought normally it was like 38, 39, but I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe biorhythm changed or something. Well, no, Sigrun's at max biorhythm, so I don't know. In any case, yeah, the issue here is that, I mean, we can take the risk again, but Sigrun, if she kills this guy, she dies to this guy. If she heals, then she dies to the combination of both of them. And if we don't put her in range, if we put her like over here, then, you know, and this guy lives for another turn. That's not great either. So I think normally what I would say is that, you know, like the fact that Sigrun had killed the one guy meant that we could potentially use Sonic-y to kill one of the Wyverns up here if one was left, which would have helped like deal with that if that had happened. But since it didn't happen, I can kind of flip that around and say we can use Sonic-y to help kill one of these guys. Which I think has to be the Swordmaster, because yeah, she doesn't one-shot the warrior, and if we have her attack the warrior and Sigrun finish it, then we still have Sigrun at risk of dying to the Swordmaster. The other option we have is to heal Sigrun with Riss, so we could have Sigrun attack this guy, Kanto back, and then Riss could heal her. But I think I would prefer to heal Nisala, even though he didn't take that much damage, because Nisala can take a lot of damage on this coming enemy phase, and so like being able to heal, especially being able to heal him now, we have the option to heal this turn. Like if somehow Sigrun and Nisala didn't take like any damage, or like let's say Nisala didn't take any damage and Sigrun took less damage. We could potentially chant for not Riss this turn, but this is basically the only turn we can chant for Riss, until maybe the last turn. So like we don't have that many opportunities to heal, especially because we have to keep clearing the sleep off of Har. Well, I say keep, but only twice, because the L sleep only has 2 charges, but still, it's enough to cause problems. So it's not like we're going to be able to heal Nasala next turn, most likely. So I think I would prefer to heal Nasala. And as a consequence, I think I'm going to have Soniki try to... yeah, there we go. Try to kill this guy. Okay. Yeah, if that didn't work, we're probably going to have to just not kill this guy, that guy on enemy phase, but as it is, should be fine. We can bring Sigrun over and have her use a vulnerary, and now, I mean, she won't kill this guy in enemy phase unless she gets another stun, but we'll at least be ready to take him out next turn and have all three of them dead. Meanwhile, we can have Nasala come down and kill that guy. So the two other snipers up there we'll deal with later, but that sniper would be a threat to Marcia and Micaiah, so we need him dead immediately. And then we can come ahead, or go ahead and heal Nasala, as discussed. Alright, so... what we should do now, actually, is check and see if we can get the base lard. Scrimmer has... actually a lot of skill right now. I mean, 28 skill is not particularly special in general. Certainly not compared to, like, Nasala having 40, for example. But, with Resolve active, he has an additional 14 to get him to 42, plus he's got good biorhythm, which gets him to 52% chance to find a hidden item. The base lard is right here, and we want him to kill this guy anyway. So hopefully... and get this. Excellent. Okay. So yeah, I mean, we can get that with Soth, but it adds a little bit of complexity that we now no longer have to deal with, which is great. Oh, and speaking of which, I should have Soth go get the dragon foe. Yeah, there's some potential, like, what do I want to say? Some potential actions saved by not having to deal with dropping and re-rescuing Soth, because basically we get that, we get this, and then we come down and get the Laguz gem, which is down here, and we can just keep Soth rescued until we're ready to go get the Laguz gem. So that's very helpful. And I will say, I don't know whether I'm going to use the base lard, because that basically, like, involves taking Vulcan to the tower, and I don't know whether I'm going to do that. So it's possible that it's somewhat superfluous or unnecessary, but it's also possible it's very necessary. Like, if I do take Vulcan to the tower, then I absolutely want it, so... I don't know. In any case, let's go ahead and chant Leanne. Come down here, and then we've got a sword master down here with a wind edge that we need to take out because, like, his threat range is too big. So we're gonna do that with Nasala, and this is where I would like for him to have pass, because if he had pass, he could attack from this spot and then Canto to here and not be in range of this sniper, but as it is, he's just going to have to be in range of the sniper, which is one of the reasons I wanted to heal him. So we're going to take this guy out. And then swing around to here. There's also a guy here with an arc wind, so the combination of those two, like, does a ton of damage if they both hit Nasala. Although this guy will probably go for Scrimmer. Though he does a ton of damage to Scrimmer as well, and we really need Scrimmer to dodge that, realistically. I mean, it's not gonna... It wouldn't... If he hits Scrimmer, it won't kill him, and so technically it's survivable, but... the... Like, basically, Scrimmer gets 3-hit KO'd by some enemies down here that he is going to engage later on. And he's fairly likely to dodge their attacks, but still, like, if this guy hits him, then he gets, like, 1-hit KO'd. So he has to dodge literally all of the attacks unless we get the opportunity to heal him, which we probably never will. So, yeah. Like I said, this clear, not reliable. Anyway, let's go restore Har. And now that we've got Riss in support range of Har, we can kill this guy with the Brave Axe. He needs the +1 attack from Riss to be able to do that. And then we're going to put Har next to Leanne so that he can enemy phase the left of those 2 warriors who is not going to be able to reach Scrimmer this turn. I say enemy phase. I mean, we're just going to deal some damage to him, probably. Like, unless he activates stun. He's not going to kill him, but we still need to get some damage on him so that we can clean him up next turn. And then we want to go ahead and have Tanith come down and take this guy out. Come back up here to safety. And I guess we're ready to have Marsha drop off Micaiah. There's like a little safe zone here where this guy can attack this square but not this square. This guy can attack this square but not this square. This guy can only attack to here. These guys can only attack to here. So, works out nicely. But it's one of the reasons we really needed to take out the wyverns up here, is because, like, if any of them were alive, even if we could have gotten everybody else away, like, these 2 would be in their attack range. Anyway, now we're going to have Lath shove Neil Lucci, who's going to come down and shove Leanne, and needs the shove from Lath to be able to get out of the way of this warrior, setting Leanne up for her chant for next turn. Finally, we can come and grab Soth with Jill down here. Okay, got the dodge on that guy. Actually, I didn't even mention it, but his 2 warriors that are going to attack Nisala also, he doesn't 2-hit KO. Oh, hello. Our second stun proc of the chapter, that's very helpful. I don't know in general how many stuns one is expected to get. I mean, like, obviously it's like, you know, based on skill percentage or whatever, but what I really mean is, I don't know, I haven't looked into, like, how many attacks, like, Har and Sigrun and Tanith are making and how likely they are to proc it. So, like, of course, not all stuns are created equally. You can stun somebody who you were going to kill anyway, or stun somebody where all you do is save the actions of somebody who doesn't get to do anything else. But it would be interesting to look at, like, you know, how reliable is it to activate some stuns? Because it's not, like, unexpected to activate some, of course. But it's not like there's any one time you can rely on, oh, we're going to stun this person specifically. And so if you need that, then it's unreliable regardless. Okay, so... oh, I didn't even... Yeah, Nisala didn't get hit by the sniper either. That's great. He would still be at risk of dying, because he got hit by one of the warriors, I guess. So he'd still be, if he had gotten hit by this guy, he'd still be at risk of dying on enemy phase, I think. But now, he shouldn't be? Well, actually, maybe he will. Because he has to attack this guy. If he gets hit by this guy, I don't remember whether the halberdiers do 20 damage to him or not. Let's see if he gets hit first. Nope. Okay. Okay. So we're good there. And we're going to have Scrimmer come down here and grass up, and that's going to put him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in position to run down and kill Numida this turn. Once we shove Leanne a bunch of times and get her into range to chant for him. Over here, let's go ahead and have Sigrun finish this guy off, which, yeah, she should be able to do now. Boom. And we're gonna put her out of range of these, just out of range of these halberdiers, because we're gonna ultimately have Nasala enemy phase them, also out of range of the crossbow. Yeah, I guess we want to come restore Har again. And then have Neolucci shove, stay out of range of the halberdiers as well. Lath is going to shove, and Soniki is going to shove. Because we can't get keys up here, so we have to use Soniki to do it. But now we can chant for these two. And Scrimmer can come down and take out Numida, like I was saying. The reason we want to do this in particular is, first of all, Numida does a lot of damage to Scrimmer and is accurate enough to be fairly likely to hit him. Second of all, even though like Scrimmer could kill more enemies if he went here, killed one of these snipers, and then enemy phase, like these guys will move, these guys won't move, so they would hit him at melee range and thus die rather than just attacking him, and which they're going to do as it is, and then these guys would be able to reach him. But the problem is he don't transform, so he can't take on that many enemies. Or we'd have had to grass with him last turn, which we could have done. But because I want to take out Numida anyway, and I want to be able to chant for Riss or whatever, you know, it's. I think this ends up working out better anyway. And we wanted to attack from this spot and not this spot because this sniper could come over and attack him from here. Whereas with these, these two won't start like scrambling with these three all blocking the access to Scrimmer here. Anyway, so now Nasala can take out this sniper. Come over here to enemy phase these two halberdiers. We could put him in range of this halberdier as well, but then he'd have to be in range of this sniper, so we're not doing that. Unfortunately, Nasala also does not two-hit KO these guys, so again, we're relying on him to proc Adept or Tear. Well, on at least one of them, I would say. If one of them lives, it's probably not a huge problem. And then, so we're gonna wanna have Har start dealing some damage to these guys in enemy phase. Har is not strong enough with Resolve to one-round these enemies with a ranged weapon. But he can deal a lot of damage to them and set them up to where we can, like, finish them off with various characters who otherwise don't want to engage them at full health, like our flyers. But in order to do that, I mentioned there's this guy here with a physics staff who will heal one of these guys up after Har has damaged them on enemy phase. So in order to counteract that, what we want to do is hit one of these guys for enough damage that the healer will try to heal them before they attack, and then they'll get healed and then they'll attack and then take the damage again. So in order to do that, we're gonna have Har use the Brave Axe because it doesn't do enough damage otherwise. Like, even if he uses the Silver Forge, he's not knocking them below half HP. Okay. So On the one hand, there's stun proc number 3. On the other hand, that sort of undermines the whole plan, because now none of them are injured. Which might actually make things worse rather than better. I guess we'll see what happens, but that might have just ruined everything. Either way, we need to trade him a hand axe, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And... oh, hey, I forgot to recruit Stefan. Let's do that. Boop. So, oh, actually, before I talk about Stefan, I want to talk about something with Micaiah. So, Micaiah is obviously silenced, and I was concerned that this would prevent her from recruiting Stefan, because, like, being silenced does prevent you from using the talk command. But fortunately, because this isn't a talk command, it's like a finding a hidden item, like, analog. She's still able to recruit Stefan and have the conversation with him, even though she's silenced. Because, like, if that wasn't the case, like, I didn't have a way to restore her or prevent her from being silenced. So, it's a good thing. It's definitely a good thing. Anyway, let's talk about Stefan. Stefan is, in a growths context, Stefan is like discount Mia, because he's got pretty similar stats to what you'd expect Mia to have at this point in the game, but doesn't have like the support with Ike built up that Mia had. I mean, not that literally everybody who ever plays the game supports Ike and Mia, but like it's a pretty good support, and she gets attack and avoid from it, and you know, it's just it makes a lot of sense to use. Yeah, Stefan doesn't have that. So normally he comes in as like an option if you didn't bother to train Mia. You can use him instead, and he won't be like as good probably, but he'll be close to as good. But here, obviously, like in 0% growths, he's a lot better. You know, same like archetype of having relatively low per hit attack value, but high chance of proccing skills and doing a bunch of extra attacks or critting or whatever. He's got, with the Vegkati, he's actually got the same value as attack value as Nasala. The Vegkati is the strongest sword in the game, 2 more might than the Alondite and the Ragno. So, like, yeah, I mean, obviously at 47 attack is not bad, but he's still going to be reliant on activating those things. I mean, we've seen that that's the case with Nasala already, and that's only going to be more the case as we get into the tower. Yeah, I mean, like, so I guess in that sense you can also draw the comparison to Nasala as well as to Mia, although obviously Nasala has Flight and Kanto and Stefan does not. But yeah, I mean, 36 speed is enough that he doubles almost everything in the game. Like, I think there are... I want to say the auras have, like, 35 speed, and so he needs Blood Tide, this attack speed boost aura thing to be able to double them. I'm not 100% sure about that I'm remembering that correctly. But certainly, like, at the very least, I know that the 40 speed Legus can double everything, so at the very least, with that bonus, he's capable of doubling anything that he wouldn't otherwise. So yeah, 36 base speed is I think it's the best Bayork speed base in the game, and it's certainly like really, really good. The 27 strength is not like as special. That's what Har has right now, but I mean, it's still good for a Bayork unit, and it's probably good enough to like get the job done in general. Like, again, so long as he can proc skills and such. He's also got 53 HP, which is a lot for his class, and combined with a little bit more defense than Mia or Lucia, like, makes him significantly more durable, like, in terms of actually taking hits than they are. Like, Mia generally gets like 2-hit KO'd right now. Stefan won't, but of course, like I said, he is going to be less dodgy than her because he doesn't have that Ike avoid to help him out. So so that's a downside. Anyway, let's have Stefan go ahead and take this guy out, since that needs to happen. And then we can have Marsha come up and trade him some swords and a vulnerary to set him up to take out a couple of enemies over the next couple turns. And then re-rescue Micaiah, come over here. It's not safe for her to move here because one of the wyverns can reach her here. And then all we got left is Tanith and Kiza. Okay, Kiza is just going to come up and use some grass. Tanith just needs to stay out of these guys' range, and like Sigrun is making her way over to help clear out the bishops down in this section of the map, as well as help out with these guys next turn. So gonna, oh my gosh, gonna bring her over here and have her use a vulnerary. We don't really need her to use a vulnerary, but we also don't need her to help drop Soth off or anything like that. So, or help re-rescue Soth or whatever it is we might be doing at this point if Soth was trying to get the base lard. I guess it wouldn't be re-rescuing, because he wouldn't have picked it up yet, but... Okay, I didn't... Oh, I guess I did talk about the fact that Scrimmer gets 3-hit KO'd when he's over here, and so this is a pretty dangerous enemy phase for him, but he's already done a pretty good job of not getting hit, so that's good news. Great news, even. Alright, so... Hey, let's go! Alright. That's... Har's now gotten 3 stuns in addition to the one that Sigrun got, so that's fantastic. And might be enough to make up for the fact that he killed the other guy and one of these guys is going to get healed. Okay, Nasala gets that kill. Good stuff. And gets that kill. Alright. Let's go. Okay, so, yeah, so the situation here is that instead of having 4 guys who are almost dead, we've got 1 guy who's at full health and 1 guy who's almost dead. Which probably works out to the same number of attacks, actually, so we should probably be alright there. I would think. Let's go ahead and have Soniki attack this guy. I'm pretty sure we don't have the damage to... So she does 16. Oh, we're pretty close to 2-hit KOing this guy. 29 leaves him with... Wait, isn't 29 and 18? What was Sigrun doing? 16. Oh, right. Okay, yeah. So we're pretty close, but we're not there. Actually... I think if Tanith had the Silverlands Forge, we would have the kill, because Tanith has 2 more strength than Sigrun. So to that end, we don't need to heal anybody this turn. I think what we're gonna do is have Risk take out this guy. And, well, we don't really have a good... I guess there's no reason to not attack with Sigrun, just to trade the lance over so that Tanith can kill her without attacking with Sigrun. That doesn't make any sense. So let's just attack with Sigrun. And then, let's see. Need to make sure that I'm leaving room for where Har is going to go. Har wants to kill this guy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so, oh yeah, we just go over here. And then Tanith. Where's Tanith going? I guess just next to Sigrun. Yeah, so Tanith is going to be responsible for killing this guy next turn, and Sigrun is going to be responsible for killing this guy next turn. Now we can have Har come down and take this guy out. And come back up here. Har is going to be responsible for killing Lacane next turn, and then is going to get chanted and is going to go up and deal with these guys. Alright, so now I think we're ready to have Nisala come down and take out this guy. And come over here. Yeah. Scrimmer is going to come up here and use some more Levy Grass. And, let's see. Do we care? I guess we can shove afterwards if we care. Which spot Leanne is in. Put her here. And then Scrimmer is going to come down and take this sniper out, and we're going to do the thing that we couldn't do last turn because there were too many enemies, but now it's fine, which is set Scrimmer up to enemy phase all 5 of these guys. And then Sala's going to come over here and take this guy out. And then it's going to retreat back this direction because we're going to fight these two. Well, this guy, I mean, he's not going to kill, obviously, but we want to lure him out, and we want to lure him as far over to the right as possible, so that he's easier to reach next turn. And we got to drop Sothoth so that he can go get the the Lugus gem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can drop him there, and then we're gonna head up this way with Jill, and we're also gonna drop Micaiah off here, head up this way with Marcia. We're gonna need Har's gonna need a little bit of help in dealing with these guys, which they're gonna provide, and then Stefan doesn't really need to attack this guy. Just needs to equip the Storm Sword so that he can enemy phase the guy coming in from the top. And then... Right, so we could... shove Leanne this way if we want her to be closer to this side for chanting purposes, which I think we do. So let's go ahead and have Laith shove Neolucci, and then shove Leanne over, Neolucci back, and then Kiza probably isn't going to do anything next turn, but just in case, we've got him ready to move. Okay, so the guy with the the Tempest Blade missed, who is the one that does by far the most damage to Scrimmer. So Scrimmer should be good to go at this point. The 3 enemies in front do like 3 to 5 damage to him. It's They're pretty non-threatening. The guy with the Storm Sword does like Tempest Blade does like 14. So if he avoids that, he's good to go here. I think 2 of them hit him, but barely made a difference. Alright, good. Nasala finished that guy off. And now the Black Knight shows up. I wanna... So, one of the things, or one of the ways that it would make a lot of sense to kill these guys, right, is to have the Black Knight do it, because he's got a ranged weapon, and he'll double them. I mean, they're fast, but they're not 27 speed fast. So, you know, one thing we could consider is rescue dropping the Black Knight up there so that he can do that, right? Oh. Yeah, it's funny, like, how the Black Knight has such good stats that his utility is not decreased at all over time in the chapters that he appears in by, like, the enemies catching up to his stat line. I mean, they are catching up, but not enough for it to matter. But his utility nonetheless decreases over time just because of the context in which he appears. So, like, in 1.9, he clears the entire map for you. Like, the chapter would be uncompletable without him. In 1E, he can put in a lot of work, although he isn't clearing the entire map, and he needs help to be able to, like, do a lot of work in the chapter. Help from, like, you know, Raphael chanting, or Nyla, you know, rescuing him, or, you know, other people rescuing him, and that sort of thing, and other people are going to be getting kills. In 3.6, he shows up late in the chapter, and he does some work on that one island, but, like, he's not doing the bulk of the work in the chapter. And then here we are in 4.3, and he is doing literally nothing whatsoever. He could, if he showed up early enough and we were allowed to move him around, but neither of those things are the case. Anyway, so we're going to start off by having Micaiah shove Soth and having Laith shove Soth and having Neolucci shove Soth. And we're going to go get ourselves the Laguz gem. Final hidden item. There is, I didn't mention it, there's a white gem over here, but we don't really have the ability to get that because we haven't had the opportunity to move here safely yet because of the wyverns that started out down here. Now there's these reinforcement wyverns that have shown up, so there's nobody who can go over here. Nasala could go over here, except he needs to be, like, over here at the end of this turn so that he can enemy phase this guy and this guy, who he does 2-hit KO, both of them. But, oh, I guess should take this guy out. But speaking of yeah, speaking of that, we are going to have to try to potentially mitigate the risk that Nasala doesn't 2-hit KO like one of these guys, or rather that he doesn't proc something to be able to KO them in spite of not 2-hit KOing them. Anyway, but first I want to have Har come down and take out Lacane, because we're going to need to chant for Har, so I want to make sure get his positioning correct for that. So yeah. So if we do chant for Nasala, if we need to chant for Nasala, we would want to go here with him. Okay. But we don't need to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so from here, Nasala can reach this spot, but he can't attack one of these wyverns while doing it. So we're just gonna put him over here and chant for somebody else. And then I guess we should have Sigrun come down and kill this guy. And run over here, and Tanith come down and kill this guy. And now we can use Scrimmer to kill this guy, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, that guy doesn't even reach, but whatever. So now the only enemy that we have to worry about potentially not dying over here is this guy. And we can make sure that that's not a problem by doing this. Bang. And then we can chant for these guys. And Har is going to come up here and kill this guy. And Har does not do enough damage on enemy phase, again, to one round this guy, so we need a little bit of damage on him. So that's why we've got Marsha up here to do that. Or not, but fortunately... hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do that. Fortunately, we have Soniki over here to do that. Okay. Unfortunately, what this does mean is that we can't... so if both Marsha and Soniki hit this guy, then he gets into range to get one hit KO'd by Har with a hand axe, and then we can actually heal Har, and which is insurance against this guy critting. But we can't do that now because he needs to double, so we're just gonna heal Marsha instead, even though that doesn't accomplish anything. The real reason is we want Riss in support range. And then Jill is gonna trade Har hand axe. And I think Kiza is the only one who's left. And he doesn't need to do anything, as it turns out, so... Alright, he did not in fact crit. It appears that we are good to go here. This chapter is a great demonstration, incidentally, of the advantage of the lion gauge. Scrimmer did so much more work than even, like, a hawk could have done. Like, putting aside even the... Oh, I should put on my turn counter thing. 5 turns. Even putting aside, like, how much damage they would have done or any of that. Just in terms of how many enemies he could engage and still stay transformed. Like, a hawk or a tiger would have untransformed. Or had to spend an extra turn using grass that Scrimmer did not. Either at the beginning of the chapter or at the end. So, yeah. Lion gauge, good. Anyway, there you have it. In 5 turns, this chapter was ridiculous. It's like there's so many, like, you know, clench moments in this chapter. You're just like, come on, Scrimmer, dodge, 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 dodge. Come on, Nasala, activate Adept. Like it's insane. Like this, I don't know what I would put the percent chance at for this clear, but it's probably well below 50% anyway. There's just like so many things that can go wrong. So many things that can go wrong. Like even like with the stun procs, for example, like it's like it doesn't really like what I want to say. It doesn't create some of the stuff that goes well early doesn't really create margin of error for the stuff late, because like, you know, they're like let's say in that I don't know, on turn 1, like, Sigrun had, like, stunned another guy or something, or, you know, like, we still wouldn't, like, be able to have insurance against, like, Nasala not one-rounding the Short Axe Wyvern at the end of the chapter. Like, so, you know, it would just, like, Soniki just probably wouldn't do anything that turn or something. So, or she would have attacked that warrior, and Sigrun would have killed finished off the warrior, but, you know, wouldn't have been in a position to do anything relevant the next turn, except maybe kill the guy that Har ended up stunning, or, you know, that sort of thing. It's like, there's, yeah, like I said, there's so many things that can go wrong, and then not a lot of things that can go right in a way that help offset the ways that things that can go wrong. So, it's just a really, really rough chapter, and is why I thought it was worth investing so many resources into this army in terms of like using both of the resolves, which are like, the resolves are really valuable at this point. And having them both on one army is certainly something, but I just don't see like being able to do this like in 5 or maybe even 6 turns without the resolve on Har and Scrimmer. Like, if you take a resolve off on one of them, it's just like, I don't even know what you do at that point. Yeah. And the authority stars thing also, like I said, like, plays a big role in terms of Nasala's effective durability being lower. And I mean, we didn't really see that come into play this time, because he did end up dodging the sniper and dodging some other attacks that he doesn't necessarily dodge. But like, I've definitely seen him die, just like straight up die. Even on like turn 1, I've seen him die. Like, he flies over, fights those 5 enemies, and gets hit like 4 times and dies. Like, which Tivarn would never do, because, you know, that army actually has authority stars. So it's, yeah, the whole thing is just a mess, a huge mess. But I finally made it through, and now we are off of this army forever. Micaiah will never again be in charge with her 0 authority stars, thankfully. Meanwhile, next chapter will be the second Grail Army chapter 4, in which we go into Oliver's Mansion. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time for that.